Good afternoon, I'm Dr. Kwok. Today I'm going to discuss my paper, which is about the top 100 cited articles in male breast cancer, a bibliometric analysis. We'll start by discussing the background information about male breast cancer. Male breast cancer is a rare condition and only accounts for 1% of all breast cancers. It accounts for less than 1% of cancers in men and less than 1% of all breast cancer, with a lifetime risk of 1/1,000. The most common subtype is invasive ductal carcinoma. The condition is likely to present late because of the low public awareness, leading to late diagnosis and treatment. This in turn can affect the mortality and mobility, including the postoperative scarring, which can affect self-esteem and causing embarrassment. The etiology of male breast cancer is multifactorial like other cancers. It is influenced by both environmental and genetics, advancing age, hormone imbalances, and radiation exposure. Genetic risk factors of male breast cancer include mutation in the BRCA2 gene, family history of breast cancer, and Klinefelter syndrome, 47XXY karyotype. While BRCA2 and family history can both cause cancer, men with Klinefelter syndrome develop breast cancer through their lower physiological level of testosterone and higher estrogen level. Male breast cancer also present with different clinical pathological features compared to the female counterpart. Rodan et al. Studied 100 male and 500 females with confirmed breast cancer in Croatia and demonstrated that male breast cancer present later and the primary tumor has a higher proportion of positive tumor hormone receptors, highlighting that female breast cancer research does not necessarily translate to male breast cancer at all. Therefore, as female breast cancer trials should not always be extrapolated for male breast cancer, it is absolutely essential to continue our research effort for this patient cohort. This article aims to identify and demonstrate the knowledge, advances, as well as how they have changed our management of male breast cancer over time. Additionally, this will serve as a guide to the most cited and impactful manuscript about male breast cancer. A literature research was conducted on the Thomson-Reuters Web of Science database. All fields were searched to include the following terms: male breast cancer and male breast cancer. Only articles in English that focus primarily on breast cancer in men published between 1948 and 2020 are included. Citations are created whenever article reference another peer-reviewed publications. Therefore, a citation rank and analysis will provide an indirect but quantitative measure of the importance and the impact of articles. This allows us to evaluate the research progress and most critical findings within the field. The database indexes all manuscripts within the Web of Science core collection, SciELO Citation Index, Chinese Science Citation Database, and Russian Science Citation Database. The returns results are sorted by the number of citations, and the full text of each article was assessed through PubMed to ensure their relevance to male breast cancer. The top 100 manuscript remain entries are eligible for analysis. Articles and their authorship details, citation count, publication journal, publication date, type of study, institution, and the country of origin are stored and analyzed. Furthermore, the impact factor of each journal or publication is also recorded. Articles with the same citation count are further ranked by the calculating its citation rate, a number derived from dividing the number of citations by the number of years since publication. The search returned 1,056 full-length English language manuscripts. The top 100 manuscripts span from 1948 to 2014, with 1/3 of the top 100 manuscripts published in the 1990s, closely followed by the 2000s and the 2010s. Total number of citations ranged from 51 to 413, and the mean number of citations per paper were 96. The oldest article in the top 100 by Abrahamson et al. Was published in 1948 and reported a rare case of breast cancer in the male secondary to estrogenic administration. The latest and the least cited paper was an anthropometric study published by Brinton et al. In 2014, which discussed the hormonal risk factor for male breast cancer, and it was cited 51 times. So this diagram shows the countries with the highest number of citations. The manuscript originated from 17 different countries, with the USA contributing to the greatest number of both manuscripts and citations. USA has contributed 49 manuscripts and over 5,000 citations. 11 of the top 15 manuscripts also originated from the USA. The second most represented country was the UK, with 15 papers and a total of 1,000 citations. The article most frequently investigated the risk factor for male breast cancer, followed by the management and comparisons against female breast cancer. So this slide shows the top 10 journals that are featured in our top 100 manuscript. The manuscripts were published across 47 different journals. So Cancer with the most publication with 882 citations, despite only holding 4 of the top manuscripts. Nature Genetics accumulated 870 citations and ranked second in the total citation count. Nature Genetics was also in the top 5 journals with the highest impact factor and the 5-year impact factor. The journal with the highest impact factor and the 5-year impact factor was the Lancet, with 59 and 54 respectively. However, despite having the highest impact factor of 59.1, Lancet only contributed 4 papers out of the 100. This analysis offers insight into developments in male breast cancer over the past decades and identify authors and themes that produce the highest impact within the specialty. The top cited paper in our analysis was by Ferocious et al., which evaluated the cancer phenotype in a single BRCA2 mutation in female and male breast cancer families from Iceland. 21 separate Icelandic families were studied, which of 9 had male breast cancer. This slide shows the numbers of publications per decade. Following the discovery of the Ferocious et al., there was a spike of publications on male breast cancer, increasing from a mere 12 publications per decade in the 1980s to a peak of 32 in the 1990s. The trend continued, but with a lesser effect until the 2010, where research interests still exceed those of the 1980s and before. Similarly, coinciding with that period was a shift in the research interest from risk factor, epidemiology, and the management of male breast cancer towards genetics, BRCA mutation research, and the comparisons between male and female breast cancer, which happened around 1990s onwards. There is a rising trend of male breast cancer worldwide. Contractor et al. Studied the incident trend of male breast cancer from 1960 to 2000 using the Cancer Mondial database. The age standardized incidence per 100,000 population has increased from 0.5 to 1.1 in New York State. The rising incidence globally means there's a definite need to conduct more multi-center studies, collaborating data about every case including age, demographic, and risk factors such as hormones and genetics. So this diagram shows the topic covered by the top 100 papers. Our analysis found that over 1/5 of the top 100 papers examined the risk factor for breast cancer in men. This is crucial for accurately identifying high-risk groups that may benefit from undergoing screening programs. In addition, raising awareness of self-assessment in this particular population can potentially lead to early diagnosis. Even though the late diagnosis is recognized as the main reason for the poor prognosis for male breast cancer, only 4% of the top 100 papers study the diagnostic aspect of male breast cancer. The late diagnosis has an impact on the mortality rate of breast cancer after diagnosis is higher in males than in females and warrant further research attention. Like other bibliometric analysis, the amount of citation an article receives might not directly reflect the scientific significance of a paper, as the scientific community had longer exposure to older manuscripts. They may present with a disproportionately high number of citations irrespective of their relative significance. Journals with high impact factor tend to attract more attention as well, but it may not correlate to the scientific importance of the article. Alternatively, recently published manuscripts on this list may have added significance due to the article amassing citations in a relatively short time frame. We have not accounted for self-citation, institutional, and language biases, as we are only looking at English manuscripts. So this can also affect the citation count, citation rate, and the position of a manuscript within our list. The Web of Science database is definitely not a full, inclusive of all available literature or indexes globally, and hence may not provide a truly representative citation count. The most cited papers mentioned in this study describe genetic and epidemiology for male breast cancer, improving the management of male breast cancer. Most articles published in high-impact journals have at least 100 citations reflecting the quality and impact of the field. This bibliometric analysis allows researchers to identify the most important advances as well as gaps in knowledge, such as male breast cancer diagnostics in the field of the male breast cancer research. Thank you for your attention.